Hello everyone, this is Mr. Che. I created this video for students who are interested in applying for a scholarship and or bursary. Now, whether you're in grade 10, 11 and 12, there's different type of planning that you need to keep in mind depending on your year level. So hopefully you get something out of this video. I've tried to include as much information that would be relevant as an introduction. So watch out for some future videos as well that talk a little bit more about what scholarships and bursaries are. I want to offer you an overview of what we'll be covering in this video and just reiterate that there's lots of information that I've left out, so please be mindful that this is just an introduction, but I think it's important that we cover some of the basics, and that is including what the difference is between a scholarship and a bursary and where the money comes from, because knowing the differences and knowing where the money comes from can impact on how you write your application, including the tone and perspective that you want to give as to who you are as a student, the types of scholarships available so that you know what's out there and how to start looking for that kind of information, and final thoughts, just some ideas to wrap up the video. Thanks. So what's the difference between a scholarship and a bursary? A scholarship is often awarded for some sort of excellence, be it academic, sporting, or some sort of other talent. The scholarship is awarded in a few different ways, depending on the person or institution that's offering it to you. It can be a reduction in your tuition fees. It could be extra money to assist you with living costs or buying books or equipment for your course. It can sometimes be conditional, so you'll be paid that scholarship money per semester if you reach a certain GPA. Now, generally speaking, I've noticed that most universities are moving to a GPA point scale of 1 to 7, 7 being the highest you can achieve. To keep that scholarship, you may need to be achieving at a 5.5. Sometimes universities stipulate something higher or lower than that, depending, and you have to prove that you are achieving academically. Now, if your scholarship is based on sports or some other achievement, there may be a balance there of academic achievement and participation in that extra activity that led you to receive that scholarship. Now, if you receive the scholarship for a particular reason, so that for example, you're a female student studying IT or engineering, it's probably assumed that you're going to keep that scholarship if you complete that whole degree. And sometimes there might be even a time limit of how long you have to complete a degree and how long you'll be receiving that scholarship money. Now, a bursary is something that's awarded for financial support reasons, so it's a lump of cash that you're given. Usually there's not a lot of conditions as to how you use it, though if you've been approved to receive a bursary, it's assumed that you're going to use it to be successful at university, so being able to buy books, transport, accommodation costs. So they both have different purposes and they may have different conditions attached to how you use the money. So what are the sources of scholarship and bursary money? Now, the main source of these financial supports come from universities. Each university will have different focuses on how they distribute the money, how much money they're willing to offer students. So generally, bigger universities have more money to offer, but they're also more competitive to get. Smaller universities might have a different focus to appeal to students to apply to their university, so it's often worthwhile checking them out as well. Generally speaking, universities will want to know that you've placed them in your first or second preference when you put in your application to study. How the universities know this, I'm not sure, but I've just been advised that it's a good idea to list a university that you've applied for a scholarship for in your first or second preference. However, check this information with the university that you're applying for, whether that matters to them. With private organizations such as banks, businesses, and professional bodies, they, if it's a bank or business, will generally focus on certain groups. For example, some banks like Bendigo Bank may focus on rural students from a rural background, and they may not have any conditions as to what kind of university degree you'll be studying. Businesses and professional bodies, they might. So if the professional bodies such as Engineering Australia offers something for high school students, I'm not saying that they do, but if they do, it's usually for students who are going in to study a Bachelor of Engineering. Private businesses might have similar conditions placed on the scholarships that they offer. You have to be studying something specific that business would maybe benefit from in the future by you studying that degree. TAFE also offers scholarships / bursaries. I was surprised to learn that, and you can find information about that in the description box below if you want to know about TAFE and what they offer. Government is another source of scholarship and bursary money, generally by two main means that I'm familiar with. One of them is through Centrelink, so there might be a bursary where you have financial reasons that are preventing you perhaps to go to university or study at TAFE. Another might be a state government department that may offer a scholarship or a bursary. One that I'm familiar with off the top of my head is Queensland, the Queensland Department of Education. They offer bursaries for aspiring teachers. So it's good to check out these whole range of sources of bursary money, because not all of them are just offered by universities. You will see a link in this description box below of a great website that captures lots of different scholarships and bursaries that you may want to consider. Different types of scholarships and bursaries aimed at different segments of society, and that will appeal to different students. So, for example, if you're a student from a rural background, there may be scholarships and bursaries pitched to you at a university, or sometimes it's just a boost in your ATAR score that you can get to gain entry to certain courses, but sometimes there are scholarships and bursaries that you specifically can apply to. Often they come with the condition that you have lived in that rural area for a certain amount of time. I'm familiar with one university that says that you have to have lived in a rural area for 10 years, and you have to provide evidence for that as well. Now, with that as well means that you have to live with what the university considers to be rural. So knowing what that means as well is important. Now, if you're a woman going to what's considered a non-traditional career path, say engineering and IT are the most common ones, you might be eligible for some scholarship or bursary in that field as well. So it's worth checking that out if you're going into what's considered a non-traditional career. Also, if you are an academically inclined student, you're receiving excellent results. Generally, if you're thinking that you might achieve an ATAR of 90 or above, certainly start looking at those scholarship applications for academic achievement. And if you're particularly good at sport, some universities put a lot of emphasis on sport. So although the academics threshold isn't as high for a purely academic scholarship, a mix of your academic results and your sporting achievements. Usually, if you're playing a sport or participating in a sport at a state or national level, certainly consider applying for a scholarship there as well. There are scholarships for LGBTI students. That's offered by a private organization. I'll put that link in this description box below as well for you to have a look at. That's to encourage students who come from that background, a disadvantaged background, to participate in university. Also, if you're a recent migrant or a student from a refugee background, there are some scholarships offered by universities, private entities, and government that are there to support you as a non-traditional student entering university. So there'll be a whole range of scholarship opportunities to appeal to students from different backgrounds. To wrap up, I just want to encourage any student who is interested in applying for a bursary or a scholarship one day, whether in your year 10, 11, and 12. If there are any questions, please come speak to me. Let's sit down one-on-one, see what information you've found out by investigating what's out there. Of course, if you're in year 11 and 12, there may be some paperwork that we need to start working on, especially if you are in year 12. That would be great if you could get some time to do that before, say, September and October, when these applications start opening, and some of them even close around that time as well. Also, be mindful that if you think that you might be eligible, just throw your hat in the ring. There's no harm in putting an application together. It's good practice. for you to reflect on who you are as a student and what you have to offer. And it's good practice because one day you will apply for a job. One day, there might be some bursaries or scholarships you can apply to once you are a student at university or TAFE that you might be eligible for. So just keep that in mind as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please look out for some more talking about this topic of bursaries and scholarships.